Godfall released to quite the controversy in 2020. With middling reviews amongst fans and critics alike, it had excellent visuals worthy of the next-gen title that had been slapped onto it, but no backbone, with combat that became stale and repetitive, a story more lackluster than Mario's character arc. Little to no marketing behind Godfall meant the game launched with literally no hype, not to mention the big issue of the game being released the same day as a PS5, meaning that even the few people wanting to try the next-gen game probably couldn't get their hands on a next-gen console. Of course, there was the PC release. Oh wait, that was an Epic Games exclusive. Yeah, Godfall was destined to fail on launch. Fast forward 4 years, and the question is, how has this live service hack and slash looter shooter aged over time? Did they manage to turn it around, or will this be another title added to the ever-growing graveyard of failed live service games? First off, the visual and auditory spectacle of Godfall is nothing short of breathtaking. The effects, the sound design create a symphony of destruction that immerses you in the combat system. Enemy variety too stands as a strong suit. Throughout your playthrough and into the endgame, diverse foes keep you on your toes, ensuring that monotony takes a backseat. The initial wow factor and spectacle are undeniably precedent, injecting the game with an adrenaline rush. However, does this spectacle hold up over time? It doesn't really, and neither does the limited weapon selection. Godfall presents us with only 5 types of weapons: greatswords, longswords, spear, hammer, and daggers. While variation exists, the core limitation here leads to a sense of staleness that creeps in sooner than we'd like. Godfall's Valor Plate system does little to aid this staleness. While it may appear like there is plenty of options to choose from, you'll soon realize that each of these armor sets only really changes stats and are essentially just deciding your build or how you want to play. Do you want to increase your soul build up, have more crit, have more water damage? That's all these armors are, a specialization in building your character, except of course their visual design, but this game constantly leans onto its visual appeal to carry it through everything, and it just doesn't do enough for me. Boss battles unfortunately take a hit in the enjoyment department as well. Waiting for what feels like an eternity for a boss to unleash its moves, only to get a blink and you'll miss it attack window, can be downright frustrating. You'll spend 20 seconds waiting for an attack, only to get 2 hits in and then have to do it all again. I may as well play Elden Ring at this point, because at least it's not the same 3 bosses I'm facing every time. And speaking of frustration, enemies casually dodging away in a hack and slash style game. Are you serious? You're trying to fulfill the power fantasy of being this super knight, tearing through the battlefield. So why is this little goblin dude just dodging my attacks like he has ultra instinct or some shit? Not exactly the thrilling experience we'd hoped for. Moreover, the lack of diverse playing areas is a missed opportunity. As you journey through the game, the repetitive nature of the environment becomes apparent, leaving you yearning for more varied landscapes to explore and fight in. To put it bluntly, the story is on the short side, leaving you with a feeling of abruptness and, dare I say, an eagerness to uninstall and move on to a more captivating game. It's a missed opportunity as the storytelling falls flat. Lacking the depth and memorable characters, the story revolves around the struggle against Macross, who aims to ascend and become a god, risking the destruction of the realms. Yep. That's really all there is to the story. You play as Macross's brother, Orin. You're meant to feel some sort of hate towards Macross, but it's hard to see him as just some guy you have to kill, because the game tells you to. Even though Macross betrayed you, we see it in a cutscene at the start of the game. How are we meant to forge a meaningful connection of hate towards a character after watching a 5-minute cutscene where we're told that we were brothers and we used to do everything with him, only for him to turn around and stab us in the back? One of the best things in storytelling is to show, not tell. Show us the connection that these two have by letting us play alongside Macross before the backstab. And if that's not possible, why not have flashbacks throughout the game that show us the connection that these two brothers used to have? And that's one of the problems with this story of Godfall. The characters are very one-dimensional, and it's just difficult to even care about a single one of them. For example, Oren, whose only obsession or care seems to be who he can murder next, sets up for some sort of life lesson or character development for him, where he realizes that there's more to being a leader and a ruler than just war. But that payoff never comes, so I'm never really able to care about him. In fact, there were a couple of times I thought he was a straight up asshole. Oren has a couple of allies assisting his cause, one of which is Saurus, who has this like rookie knight complex going on, where he's constantly disobeying orders and supposedly getting into trouble, but we never actually see him on screen disobeying orders. We just see him show up in places he shouldn't be, until he eventually shows up in a place where he dies. Yep. If you think my description of Saurus is short, then that is about the extent of the character and my interest in him. It's ironic because I think I'll probably remember Saurus in years to come just because of how awful he is as a character. Like, I can't even believe someone looked at this and said, yep, good enough for the game. Then again, that could be said about most of Godfall. One of our other allies is the Guardian, who is probably set up to be one of the most interesting characters in the game, as this sentinel-like being who was locked away until now, and all we want to use her for is as a weapon. As we go stronger and attempt to reach Macross, we are feeding her with Ethereum or some generic rock, which seems to be weakening her and turning her into a god. Like, what? It just seems like this entire campaign she's scheming something behind Oren's back, our back, but nothing happens. She ascends to the status of a god, and that's the end of the story. She doesn't want revenge for being locked up or used like a tool. In fact, she continues to help us. It just doesn't make sense. Why make this character seem like they're going to betray us and then just do nothing with it at all? Like, literally nothing. It's just such a wasted opportunity. However, if you're a lore enthusiast, the silver lining might be found in the game's lore. But here's the kicker. It's not even in the game. You have to watch all of Bife's lore videos to actually understand how cool the lore is, which roughly adds up to the time it would take you to complete the story of the game anyway. It appears as though the developing team had a promising vision for the narrative Godfall, but unfortunately for whatever reason, they held back on every narrative punch, which we're left with this game that's as uninspiring as the individuals who casually post bland food photos on their Instagram stories. Everything in Godfall looks drop-dead gorgeous. The lighting, a celestial masterpiece. The visual effects, flashier than a New Year's fireworks show. World visuals and character designs. They're basically the cover models for a fantasy fashion magazine. It's so stunning that even my gaming setup would blush. The game runs smoother than butter. Seriously, I didn't experience a single frame issue, not one. It's like my gaming rig and Godfall are in a loving frame drop free relationship. Now here's where the magic fades a bit, or maybe a lot, depending on how many times you've seen the same movie. I mean, some game spaces, missions, enemies and characters in the end game. It's like Groundhog Day, but instead of Bill Murray, you get a never-ending parade of familiar faces and places. I've been running through these levels so many times, I feel like I should just get an achievement called Stuck in the Hamster Wheel. Because by the 100th run, I'm asking myself, can we get something new? Please, even a pot in a different location. Can we maybe even get some flowers here and there? I'm literally losing my mind playing this game. Sure, comparatively Warframe, Destiny, and The Division and other live service games all use the same spaces. But each of those have more than 4 playable spaces. That is all we get in Godfall. 4 playable spaces. Doing the same reskinned activities in the same areas you've been through in the story for better loot. Congratulations, you've spent the last 15 hours leveling up and grinding the same things over and over again to reach the late game. Well, now you get to do it again, but just harder. At least you get some better loot. Yeah, really have to be an addict for perfect loot to probably make it through the end game and the grind, because getting the perfect loadout requires you to sell your soul in this game, and that's where they fall short. There isn't something like a PvP arena or raids that are technically available in other games. You could argue that the Spirit Realm is kind of a raid, but that's stretching it. And the fact that it's only one activity that really is no reason to stick around playing Godfall, unless you're absolutely addicted to getting perfect gear. But even then, just go play something else. The truth is, I wouldn't pay full price for this game. I'd spend no more than $10 on this game, and unless of course you plan on playing with friends, because most games can overcome weaknesses when you're playing with friends, Godfall has a lot of weaknesses. So even playing with your friends, it's still got its pitfalls. Godfall really is another game to add to the list of failed live service games. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below and let me know your thoughts on Godfall or what games you'd like to see me play next.